Hi there, welcome. It's Christina Johnson here, founder of the Emerge Weight Loss Program. And today we're going to talk about the two different types of hunger. And I think this video is going to be really helpful for you if you have been struggling with your weight for a while. And if you've ever found it either hard to stick with eating healthy consistently, or if you have lost weight but then ended up gaining it back again. Because this is not being aware of these two types of hunger really is a big obstacle to lasting weight loss. And it's not something that most diets talk about. Most diets just make us believe that we should eat when the diet tells us to eat, need to eat how much the diet tells us to eat. And we do that at the expense of listening to our own bodies and our own hunger signals. And the reality is when our hunger hormones are well balanced, your body will tell you when to eat and how much to eat and when to stop eating. And then you're able to lose weight without having to constantly track every single bite of food you put in your mouth. So what I want to talk about today are the two different types of hunger that you're probably experiencing every single day. And then we'll look at some clues, 4 different categories of clues that will be able to help you identify which of the types of hunger you're experiencing in the moment. And then I'm going to give you a little challenge at the end so that you can use this to start reducing some of the mindless snacking and overeating that you may be doing. So let's dive in. The first thing is just understanding the difference. So we have physical hunger and emotional hunger. And physical hunger is the hunger that you feel when you haven't eaten in a while. So your stomach is empty, maybe it's growling, you're feeling actually physically hungry because your body is sending you signals to let you know that it needs some calories from food. It needs the energy that it can get from food. So that is physical hunger. It's when your body actually needs food to function and for energy. And then we also have emotional hunger. And so emotional hunger, my definition of this is any time that you just want to eat, even though you're not actually physically hungry. So just to give you some examples of what this looks like, emotional hunger is when you just want something sweet after dinner. Can anyone relate to that? Or emotional hunger are the times where you're just eating because you're bored, or maybe it's just habit. You have a snack every day at 3 p.m., whether or not you're hungry. It might be the times that you're eating, at the end of the night because, you're just winding down. You've had a long day. You just want to enjoy a glass of wine or a bowl of ice cream. It's, eating that you do just because it sounds good, because you don't want to deprive yourself of that, to make yourself feel better, to just kind of numb out. I mean, there's so many different factors that drive emotional hunger. But the key is physical hunger is food that your body needs. Your body needs that food for energy, and so you're physically hungry. And emotional hunger are all the other times you want to eat. I'm curious, I would love to know, and you can put this in the comments, what percentage of the time do you think you might be eating for emotional hunger reasons? Is it 50% of the time? Is it 10% of the time? Let me know in the comments. I'd be really curious. What percentage of the time do you think you're eating because of emotional hunger? And the goal really is to become a very mindful eater. First step is figuring out and becoming aware of every time throughout the day you're eating. Is it physical or is it emotional? So here's some clues and just kind of things you can think through and questions you can ask yourself to figure out, is this physical or is it emotional? And so the first clue is how it's feeling in your body. So, let's say you have that thought that you want to eat something. And so just you kind of notice, how does it feel? How is that hunger feeling in my body? Physical hunger is often that empty stomach, or some people might feel it in their throat, or maybe it's your mind is kind of getting a little fuzzy, or your energy's dipping a little bit. Those can all be signs that your body needs some energy, some fuel. And I will say, hunger signals show up differently from person to person. So you do have to kind of figure out what are the signals your body gives you. But that's typically what physical hunger feels like. Emotional hunger in your body often feels more like emotions. Maybe you feel kind of anxious. You're feeling on edge. You're feeling irritable. You're feeling tired, like those kinds of, if that's what's behind the wanting to eat, then it's probably emotional hunger, not physical. The second clue is the timing of the hunger. So physical hunger, it usually shows up slowly over time. So you might just notice or have the thought, I think I'm getting hungry. But then, you're busy, you're doing things, have a little water, and it kind of fades. And then, maybe a little bit later, 10, 15, 20 minutes later, it comes back on and you feel like, oh, yep, I think I am getting hungry. And maybe it fades a little bit and then it gets stronger. And so physical hunger kind of comes on gradually, unless you've waited way too long to eat, then that's another case. But it usually comes on gradually. You can usually wait a little bit and then eat. Whereas emotional hunger, it usually hits in an instant. It's like all of a sudden, oh, I just want some ice cream. I just really need to eat something. I want a cappuccino. I want a muffin. It's like it just happens in that moment. It's not like it comes and then it fades and might come back. It comes and it stays there until you satisfy that. So the timing of how the hunger hits is one clue as to whether it's physical or emotional hunger. A third clue is the urgency. So physical hunger, typically, you need to eat, you have the feeling that you're hungry, but it doesn't feel like this emergency where you have to eat right now. Again, unless you've waited way too long to eat, then it might feel like, I need to eat something now. But typically, there's that need to eat, but it's not this urgent situation. Whereas emotional eating tends to feel like our brains tend to make it feel like it's a little bit more urgent, where it needs to get taken care of now. That's where I want some ice cream. I'm not going to wait until tomorrow. I want it now. Or you need a snack in the middle of the day, and it's just more this urgent thing. And it's almost like it's hard to stop thinking about it until you do something about it. So the level of urgency is different between physical and emotional hunger. And then the fourth clue to look at is what is sounding good to you. So when you start feeling hungry, think about what sounds good. If, having the lunch that you packed to bring to work, maybe a salad, sounds good, that's probably physical hunger, where you want to eat a good, healthy meal. If, however, you're craving one or two specific things, you just want something salty, that's probably a sign that you're not physically hungry. It's more of an emotional hunger, and there's something specific that you need to meet that emotional hunger need. So those are 4 different clues, just ways to kind of think through for yourself of what type of hunger you're experiencing in the moment. And the great news is that when you learn how to balance your hunger hormones so that they're working properly, and when you learn to become aware of the difference between physical and emotional hunger and have some tools to deal with the emotional hunger, then it's so much easier to eat healthy consistently. Because what happens is that you naturally just start to cut back the overeating, the mindless snacking, all of that extra food that your body doesn't actually need. Because if you think about it, the emotional hunger, that's food that your body's not asking for because it needs the energy. It's food you're eating just because you want it. And when you do that day after day, that really adds up to a lot of extra overeating. And one of the things, I will say this, because a lot of people tell me, I'm not an emotional eater, I don't relate to this. But time and time again, when women are going through the Emerge weight loss program, when they get into the second half where I really start, talking more about emotional hunger, emotional eating, what I hear almost always is, I had no idea how much mindless eating or emotional eating I was actually doing. And so my challenge to you for the next, I would say 3 days, even doing this for 3 days will give you a lot of insight. So my challenge is that every time you are about to eat something for the next 3 days, just stop for just even 10 seconds and ask yourself, am I physically hungry right now? Or am I emotionally hungry? And honestly, just getting in that habit of asking yourself that question, am I physically hungry or am I emotionally hungry? That will just bring to light so many habits and patterns that you might not have realized were there. You might be surprised by how often you're eating for emotional reasons. Because again, I hear that so often from the women I work with that they're kind of surprised. They didn't realize how much mindless eating they were actually doing. So that is my action item for you, is to take this challenge for 3 days to ask yourself that question every time you're about to eat, just to see, am I physically hungry or emotionally hungry? And right now, I'm not even necessarily asking you to cut out all the emotional hunger eating, but as you become more aware of it, what usually happens is that you naturally start to stop some of those times of emotional overeating. I had someone who took this challenge a couple years ago when I talked about this before, and she told me that within a couple weeks of just doing this, that she lost a couple pounds without even trying, because she was just more aware of all the extra mindless eating she was doing. So let me know in the comments, will you type challenge if you are accepting this challenge and that you are going to pay attention to the types of hunger you're experiencing. So just type challenge in the comment to let me know, a little accountability for you there. And then if you are just ready to dive in, if you are ready to have a better relationship with food so you can fit comfortably in your clothes and improve your overall health, then I would love to have a conversation with you. So I'm going to put a link in the comments where you can apply for a complimentary consultation with me, where we'll just talk more about, what it is that you're struggling with, what things you've tried that have worked or haven't worked, so that I can kind of help identify what's stopping you from reaching your goals on your own. And then at the end, I can give you some ideas on next best steps to take. And, whether that's working with me in the Emerge program or not, you will get a lot of value and clarity from having this conversation with me. So highly encourage you to apply for one of those at the link that I will put in the comments. So let me know if you're going to take this 3-day challenge. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments as well. And I will talk to you again very soon. Bye.